short piece called Freighters from the collection Crisp. 6 freighters anchored in the bay today, all facing south. The sky gasps open and the rain falls askew, almost absent-minded. Keeps falling while the sunlight slicks and shatters off the shop windows, the concrete towers, the world on the edge of melt. On the bus, you tell me how you fall in love with bus drivers, their hands, a list of fragments you desire. Then you confess that a poem you gave me is about my lips, my lover's hands too. I confess to you that my lover's hands seem like paws, like in Gorillas in the Mist. Wise hands. You and your lover have opened your relationship. For the length of the bus ride, you use manifesto words: experimental, counterculture, radical, anti-oppressive. After the bus, the hands, you stop outside the Vogue Theater and are suddenly entranced by the sidewalk, the montage of clear glass blocks embedded out front. And while you are looking down, I look up across the street, and I point out to you what I see. Through steamed-up windows, glazed, the silhouettes of ballet dancers stretch and spin in the third-story window. And we both stand in the rain and cannot move because it smells of grace, random and ripe and taut all at once. I tell you that my lover and I are trying to keep a closed relationship, that with so many gay couples arguing for openness and liberation, it seems radical to stay monogamous. And I wonder, I ask you, why you get to use words like open, and I'm left with words like closed. We are going to buy de Sade's Justine, a copy for each of us, because we are both going to read it, a form of flirting. The day after we buy the Justines, we are walking along the bay. I ask that we walk on the sand because my lover has told me not to. It's his job to sweep the apartment, and he hates it when I track in sand. Out on the bay, 8 freighters face north. I tell you that what I miss most about being single are the threesomes, touristing in their beds, mapped with hands in ardor, keys and shoes, waiting at the door. Then the wind changes, suddenly blows from the mountains, not the water, and brings thunder in those tropical showers. All the Queenie boys who've done their hair just right and haven't brought their new raincoats have to laugh off their disarray, shaking off and scattering raindrops on the coffeehouse floor. Cavalier, almost butch. Necessity is the butch of invention. At our table, looking out at the rain, I want to ask you to dance. Shunt my chin against your neck, a close waltz saying, "It'll be all right." It being that we're in relationships where we ordered a chocolate shake at the drive-thru window, but the woman keeps saying through the speaker, "Onion rings?" And we repeat chocolate, and she repeats onion rings, and there's only one road out of there, and she only has onion rings, and we don't feel heard. Analogies are always disappointing. And sometimes when we read to flirt, I want to read you, pour a cup of tea, hold you in both hands with good light, and I won't even mind when my coat of mine slips away and back, reading the same line, a fragment of you held against the roof of my mouth to ward off, then a fragment of you held, over and over, a fragment, a type of lingering, the repetition of you, and I might undress the text, hold your parchment up to the light when no one is looking. The next morning, only 3 ships, never seen so few. In the afternoon, I watch you at the gym and watch you furious with your body, remaking it, and the shrinking others caught in the mirror on all sides watching. I leave the gym thinking about your fidget fingers in the cafe the night before, the way you fingered the pages, then turned them brusque and final. Later you tell me how that man at the gym with the chewed, ragged fingers and thin mouth took you home and dragged teeth up your ribs, punctuation bruises, how you staggered home in the city in the rain, the city rife with looks and accusations. The city towers with looks now, windows turn to face you, misreading the muscles ridged along your lateral plane, torqued and tantalus. You start to chew your fingers through your smile, thinning. And I feel Tupperwared compared to you, and I wonder if that's true, why closed, not open. I told you once how I feel drawn to the freighters in the harbor, how they turn synchronized swimmers, and the tide changes, all facing south, all facing north, all with their backs to us, as though to leave, but hunkered back, still anchored, suspended in motion. My lover is afraid that if he left me, I would go to you, and I'm afraid that if I keep grinding my teeth at night, they will shatter. The worst thing in the world to be here without a grin to bear it. Yet somewhere between the tides, the water in uncertain eddies, time hangs. No measurements for the generic days, an accidental taste I found. Days that matter because they resemble the others. There are no pictures of these times. And you wrote a poem about my lover's hands, the strength of them. Thick beasts, you said, and I wonder how you separate that from how he hit me that night, backhanded. It wasn't his stupidity that bothered me, not the suddenly articulate well of his angry marrow, but the appearance of it, who it irrevocably made me in the hours of the next morning between the mirrors. And I want to call my mother and say, I am the woman you never let yourself become, for she kicked my father out before he could hit her, though sometimes words leave larger marks. Maybe it's best that we got the backhand out of the way, and context is everything. Amber rum, old lover, thicker hands, deep-veined thirst. But I wonder if I flinch more than usual, or whether I will ever admit what I really thought when the back of his fist connected, that this connect, this impact, was a relief, and all I could think was, there, now that's out of the way. In the cafe, I watch you read, my open copy in front of me. I remember when I was a kid and my parents would be having one of their shred the linoleum and ricochet fights, how my brother would sneak into my bed, shivering, not crying, and how I would hold him and tell him it'll be all right, and how telling him almost made me believe it. I search my mind for something to tell you now, something I might believe. I watch you turn the page. Thanks.